Alright, Gothic girl here, and here's another one of these toxic ex stories. Okay, well, this is before their big breakup, before they, split for forever. Let's see. Harley is at her mom's house, and they're having, one of these drinking parties. I don't know if her mom was there or not. No, her mom wasn't there. But there was like a bunch of people that got invited over, and some people Harley didn't even know, and of course she's looking around like, okay, there's other girls to be worried about, because that's all she worried about with her toxic ex. Cause like, he couldn't just look at her, he'd have to look at everybody else too. And alright, sorry I got interrupted. So they're at this little party or drinking get together is really what it is. And she noticed that there's some girls that showed up that she's never seen before, and of course she's like, oh great, who's gonna be all over them next? Sure enough, she had a friend that was going through a breakup and all of that. She was just having a hard time. So Harley decides that she's going to spend some time with her that night. And she can't help but watch her, toxic ex, which is her boyfriend at the time, just be all over this other girl like she's not even, he's not even in a relationship with her or anything. And she didn't realize that they had exchanged numbers until after they got back home, and I think it was the next day or 2 days, maybe. It was after the wild weekend. And she had heard his phone go off at like 1 o'clock or something like that. And it was, I take that back. It was probably around, a weeknight, because he went to bed early. And she heard his phone go off. And of course she's like, well, I wonder who the heck that could be. So she, checks to make sure that he's asleep. And she grabs his phone. And of course there's no name, nothing. And she remembers saying, so when are we going to the movies? And of course she's like, what? Who is this? I think she even talks back, who is this? And of course the girl says her name and says, something about how they know each other. It's about the party or whatever. That's how she figured out who it was. And of course, like, Harley doesn't really go off on her, but she's like shaking because she's so pissed off. And she's like, I know, like, heck, you're not about to try to take her to the freaking movies, and you can't even take, Harley out on a date or anything, because Harley had to pay. Or, like, Harley didn't have to pay for, everything, but, like, she chose to. Because, like, I think on one of their anniversaries or something, she paid for, all of for them to go out to a movie. I can't remember what they went and saw though. And like, of course, they had a couple, fights. Like, they fought all the time, but it wasn't to the extreme of, oh, let me go find another girlfriend. Like, they lived together, and she can't believe that he did that. But, I mean, he had been doing it all along. He just, called her up in the middle of the night. And he ended up dating her, or was dating her then, and just trying to figure out how to discard her, I guess. Because he would do that crap all the time. It's like, oh, we don't need to be together, and blah, blah, blah. And of course, Harley's like, I don't have anywhere else to go. I mean, she could have went to her grandparents. She just didn't want to let go of her, I guess, so-called freedom. And, she just wanted to stay in that toxicity. Because she didn't want to be rejected and abandoned and all of that, but of course she asked him, after he gets home the next day, you go into the movies with some other girl? And he's like, what are you talking about? And she tells him, and he's like, well, we don't have fun anymore, and I just like to go to a party and just hook up with somebody else and all of that. And of course Harley's like, what? Like, where did that even come from? And he's like, I'm just too young for this relationship, and blah, blah, blah. And of course Harley's, what? Like, you're supposed to claim to love her, and you're gonna, oh, well, I want to sleep around with other people. But, I mean, Harley should have saw that one coming. She just didn't want to see that one coming. And, of course, this was the funniest thing. Is, like, she knew that he had low self-esteem anyway. And, like, he tore her down. So, yeah, she did him. Because he had this bright pink, it wasn't like neon, it was like a pastel color, pink shirt and a tie. I don't even remember why he got that. But, of course, he was just looking in the mirror and like, oh, I'm good looking, blah, blah, blah. And I think she even says, I've seen better. And of course his face is like, what the hell? And of course, like, Harley, she wants him to know how it feels, what he did to her. Like, oh, you can lose a couple pounds, or you could look like this, or I want a girl like this instead of a girl like you, and all of that. So, I mean, that's why she did it. Of course, she felt bad because she made him feel bad, but, I mean, you don't have to be so think so highly of yourself. You can carry yourself well, but you don't have to think so highly of yourself. But I don't think he had good self-esteem. Like, that's why he kept doing this over and over to Harley, is like trying to find something better. And he didn't want a girl with any flaws, it seemed like, at all. Like, and like, he even made a comment. They were watching a movie one night, and he says, oh, I can't date a girl that pretty. And of course Harley's like, why? And he's like, because everybody will want her. And of course Harley's like, what the hell, dude? Like, am I the ugliest thing that you've ever seen? But anyway, there's that toxic story.